caught wife flirting/texting another man. Seeking advice. We've been married for 5 years. While I'm aware that we had a few little disagreements here and there, they always seem to be on my end. In fact, I never had any reason to suspect she was unhappy in our marriage since she was continually drawing attention to the issues of other couples and telling me, "You see, our problems aren't that horrible. To be honest with you, we don't ever really communicate about anything." As a result of our traumatic upbringings, we have both created walls to some degree, with hers being far bigger than mine. She's always been a self-sufficient individual, which is one of the reasons I like and fell in love with her in the first place, while I'm more open about my feelings and those of others. If we did not succeed, I am certain that it was due to a breakdown of communication. We both have challenging professional lives. She just started a new job that needs long hours and a lot of overtime, so we don't get to see one another very often. We did communicate and talk about how tough this would be, as well as some of the things we would have to do to get through till her hours returned to normalized. I had a difficult time adjusting to the separation from the beginning, but we both did our best to make it work. Then it looked that everything had turned one-sided. It turns out that she had already begun contacting this person when I pulled myself from the conversation. Thus, I was ineffective once again. According to what I've already said, we both work in very demanding fields, with mine getting more stressful in recent years. To become the greatest person I can be, I've been on a mental-focused, self-reflection, and personal improvement path, and for a while, I was preoccupied with managing with the stress of my work. Around this time, I was able to break through to the next level. It was during this week or two that I began to adjust my perspective or pay more attention to our relationship. Should have done it sooner. I was aware of our lack of communication, as well as the expanding chasm that looked to be separating us, and I was perplexed as to why I wasn't making an effort to bridge the gap, even if I didn't feel she was. As a result, I sat us down for lengthy heart-to-heart discussions 3 nights in a row. We spoke about our struggles as well as what we anticipated from ourselves and one another in the future. I informed her about my self-reflection and my desire to be the best husband and father I could be for her. Even those conversations, though, seemed one-sided, and I started to notice warning flags. The usual patterns of behavior have changed. Our SMS messages and interactions with one another have changed. Even when I remained up late with her, she would constantly tell me that I should get some sleep. She was contacting someone when she was sitting in her car in the garage before she went for work, and when she returned home, I saw a text on her home screen that said "Miss you" from one of her old friends with whom she no longer has contact. When I went to check on her, I discovered that her passcode had been changed. When I subsequently questioned her about it, she offered me a fuzzy answer that I couldn't quite understand. I had a sneaking suspicion that things wasn't quite right. When she got a text the next night, on Christmas Eve, we were seated very next to each other. She looked at it briefly before putting her phone down. It had arrived at the time she had told me, and she recommended that I go to bed early once again. Although I checked through her phone while she was asleep, I was unable to locate any messages from that time frame. I came these them while looking through some old records. She had sent a text message to a coworker at her new place of business. Photographs are being shared, and there is a lot of flirtation going on amongst the participants. As soon as I got close to her, we got into a heated debate. She had saved this man's phone number in the phone book under the name of an old friend. She claimed to have removed them every night, but she failed to do so this time since I was interfering with her concentration. The relationship, she alleges, was merely flirtation over text messages, and when he walked by her desk, and it was over in a matter of weeks, despite the fact that I was able to check the text log from our carrier, and it went back farther than she claimed. It returned to the location where it was before I became aware of the distance. She states that she was happy by the attention she received from another man, who was also married, but she was aware that she was making a mistake from the beginning and throughout the process. Because I am her spouse, it is normal for me to compliment her on her appearance or do anything good for her. But when he did so, she was upset. She maintains that she was in perfect control the whole time and that it would never have progressed to anything else. How do I suppose she got caught if she didn't stop it? More to the point, she went out of her way to get his phone number, and she was the one who initiated the conversation by asking, Are you just being polite? Or do you find me attractive? Greetings, escalation. She insists that it was all for nothing, that she had no feelings for this particular man, and that she was merely doing it to figure out why she was doing it. She also says she contacted him to end the relationship, but that she deleted the conversations and deleted his phone number to demonstrate to me that she has completely cut him out of her life, which makes no sense to me. She seems honest in her sorrow over what has happened and her desire to move on, but how can I put my faith in her at this point? She didn't say anything or do anything about it. She continued to do so until she was apprehended. What would it have been, and when would it have ended up becoming would have been the questions. If she's telling the truth, I can make out some of what she's saying if she's being honest. I like compliments from females, especially when my wife is not the kind to give me such feedback, which makes this hurt even more since I am that type to her. My wife, on the other hand, is continuously present in my heart and thoughts, and it isn't even a question since I selected her. I suffer from poor self-esteem, and while she has never experienced it, I could understand if it was a contributing role in her actions. I'm well aware that this occurs to people. However, you are once again left with a difficult option, undeniably terrible and harming the person, as she has said she was aware of from the beginning and pondered throughout. You profess to love, but continuing to do it. Isn't that the ultimate test of love? You'll have to keep doing it until you figure out why it's working. That's the part of the assignment that I'm having the greatest difficulty with. Because she figured it out. As soon as she was apprehended, and because we were talking to each other throughout our battle. Once again, hey there, communication. It also aches because not only did she not stop, but she continued to persist even after our heart-to-heart conversation. The final thing she wrote him was, "I've been thinking about you too. Every day." She claims that our chats had an impact on the way she contacted him, and that the error was all on his end at the time. I have my doubts about her genuine interest, respect, thoughtfulness, and love for me. Not to mention the fact that I was completely devastated and sad. I love her, and a part of me wants to make it work, to believe her, and so I do my hardest to do so. How can you recover from all of the sadness and suffering that you have experienced while simultaneously striving to restore any semblance of trust and coping with the other challenges that have arisen in your relationship? Communication. When she no longer has my trust and has no way of confirming what she claims happened because the texts have been removed. Even the one she claims terminated it. How can I believe what she claims happened? My mind is constantly inventing and doubting what actually occurred, making it difficult to focus on this task. How is she supposed to build trust when we won't be seeing one another very much, and she works for this guy? I'm a very intelligent individual who tends to overthink things. Because I know that if I try, I'll be exposing myself to even more mental anguish on top of everything else that's already going on.